if that's what we want to call it, that have come from this administration, Brian. And we have now, with the president's blessing, as I understand it, after reading a report in the Wall Street Journal and the fact that Steve Bannon was on Fox News earlier in the week on Monday, President Trump called to say great job, but also giving him his blessing to lash out at Republican establishment members. And this was Bannon earlier today in D.C. talking to the Values Voter Summit. I just want to let everyone at home see it. Take a look.
Let me give a warning to you. Nobody can run and hide on this one. These folks are coming for you. The day of taking a few nice conservative votes and hiding is over.
All right, so here we have kind of this, nationalism that's come out of Bannon, that continues to come out of Bannon now that he's unfreed Brian from any type of constructs of this White House. But if he's going after Mitch McConnell and other establishment Republicans, the other legacy issue for President Trump is Neil Gorsuch for the Supreme Court. And without Mitch McConnell, he would never be able to do that. Is going after someone like Mitch McConnell and establishment Republicans a smart approach?
I do. I think it's a very smart approach because the establishment Republican leadership in the House and Senate has accomplished nothing in this Congress. It's their fault. Much of the shortcomings in implementing the Trump agenda fall squarely on the shoulders of the House and Senate establishment leadership. And I think Steve Bannon is spot on to go after a lot of these establishment politicians and say, you know what? We're going to run a primary opponent against you to get you to be conservative again and actually do something. So when you look at what President Trump has done, he's had to resort to executive actions. And what have those executive actions been? Well, one was to undo the Iran deal, which should have been submitted to the Senate as a treaty. Same with the Paris Climate Change Accord. That should have been submitted to the Senate as a treaty. And you look from when you talk about the Obamacare subsidies, those are all bailouts to insurance companies that weren't authorized under the law. So ultimately, President Trump is just implementing policies that he can do under the law and undoing unconstitutional actions that were taken by the Obama administration.
Well, Brian, when you think about that, you're saying unconstitutional actions. The majority of Americans support Obamacare, which did, pass and was signed into law. The other issues that President Trump seems to take on, with whether it's building a wall or trying to have a Muslim ban or these other ideas, they're not widely supported on the Hill. So are you saying that most of these Republican establishment members are just secret Obama lovers and they don't support President Trump and his ideas? Or do they just have a different idea of what it means to govern as a Republican?
They're not governing. They're not doing anything, and that's the problem. I think Republican voters who voted for Donald Trump wanted to see some of his policies implemented, and they're implementing none of them. I think when you look at Obamacare saying it's popular, what's not popular is bailing out insurance companies to the tune of $135 billion over the next 10 years. That's not popular at all, and it was not allowed under Obamacare originally. So those are some of the problems. I think ultimately President Trump is trying to push back and put pressure on Congress to do something. And what Steve Bannon is doing is utilizing his power and his perch to put pressure on Congress to actually do something and put points on the board.
So, Michael, I want to turn to what continues to be a parallel track in D.C. with the Bob Mueller investigation into Russia, and we learned that the investigators of this team interviewed Reince Priebus on Friday. Now we have this new reporting, NBC News' exclusive backgrounder on Paul Manafort's deeper, more substantial ties to a Russian oligarch to the tune of $60 million. How much does the continuation of this investigation undermine Trump and his effectiveness in the Oval Office?
Well, it's an incredible distraction because as the president is trying to put his policies forward and get Congress to go along with him, he has to deal with this and confront this, and it takes attention away. It hurts his standing with the public. His approval ratings have not gone much higher. They've stayed fairly low, and the Russia cloud is over the presidency. This is why Trump's administration is trying as hard as it can to get as many documents as possible to Mueller in the hopes that Mueller will look at it and come out and clear Trump and say, look, he's not under investigation anymore, because they realize the reality and the way that this has really weighed the president down, including behind the scenes where the president, obsesses about this and has, expressed deep frustration with the way that it has distracted from things.
Obviously, there is deep suspicion, Danielle, on the Democratic side, but does that mean that it's going to be helpful in the midterms come 2018. And with the pressure being on Republicans and Bannon going to be gunning for GOP establishment members to unseat them, when we think of the specter of the Russian investigation, I mean, is there reason to have hesitation in D.C. if the president or members of his team are actually found to have had any type of collusion or ties or instances of potential treason to get this person elected?
Yeah, this isn't just a distraction. This Russian interference into our election process is a blatant attempt to try and upend our democracy, try and upend American people having a voice and having a say in their elections. And that is the foundation of our democracy. So it's not a distraction. It's actually really important. And it's important for the American people to settle the anxiety that has encircled this administration as to whether or not they actually voted in this president or he was put in place, right? And that's like a real question. And it will come up. And I think that the Democrats need to be really strategic and smart about how they communicate their message about Russia interference, about keeping the shroud of shadiness over this administration and holding them accountable for their lack of transparency, their lack of cooperation, all of the things that are coming out in Mueller's investigation about Ivanka and Jared using emails, the private emails, and all of these, I didn't know that I was supposed to come clean to the FBI about my meetings. All of these things that are happening, they put a direct cloud, as you said, over this administration, which makes us believe that we don't know who Trump is working for. Is he working for the American people like he said that he was going to do, or is he working for the betterment of his pockets, his family, and the Russians? And we don't know, and we will not know until we get a clean bill of health from Mueller, if in fact that's what comes out of this.
Well, no, that's what everybody really needs to move on right now, is for Bob Mueller and his team to continue, wrap up, provide the details, and let people either, pick up the pieces and decide what to do if there is something specific they want to go after, or let President Trump get on with the business of what he says he was elected to do for the American people. Great to have you all with me. Brian, thank you, sir. Danielle, thank you. Michael, Aaron, I appreciate your time as well. A quick program.